All right, if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to take a second to get the episode loaded and paused at the 0-second mark. And remember, we do not skip intros or recaps. If everyone is ready, those of you who've been here before know what comes next. If you're new, grab your remote and have your finger on that play button, but don't press it yet because we're going to do that at the same time. Is everybody ready?
Ready.
Ready. All right, on the count of 3. Mary, are you ready with the timer?
I am. It's just in the different apps.
Okay, awesome. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Have we talked about the voice of this narrator yet?
No.
I hate it.
Let's make sure to discuss this at the end for just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Do y'all think cheerleading is a cult too?
As a former member, no.
Me either.
No,
I was a cheerleader.
me
It's not a
too.
freaking cult. No, but it's always something I wanted to be a part of and never could be.
Cheerleading is not safe.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of an extreme sport.
So it feels like this episode begins a new arc. Like this feels like a beginning, whereas last episode certainly felt like it was part of a longer storyline.
You mean like a challenge of the week kind of thing, or?
Yeah, it feels like you could just start with this episode and you'd be okay. Like, I don't think we're going to see Voldemort in this episode.
I love that you call him that. The Master was like Voldemort, I think.
I think we're gonna have a back flipping witch.
A flitch.
Yeah.
So a little trivia here, Charisma Carpenter actually was a cheerleader at one point. She worked as a cheerleader for the San Diego Chargers football team.
That's the witch right there. I'm putting my money on it. That's the witch right
The
there.
one dancing?
The one in the middle, right there. I don't know. I'm gonna just put a prediction down. That's
Yeah, she kind of has witchy vibes.
I love your predictions, Jen.
I miss cheering and coaching.
I miss hearing this song literally every day for my
This
entire
this
life.
doesn't really
Oh
look
my
like,
God.
but this doesn't really look like cheerleading. It looks a little bit more like dance line, doesn't it?
Oh, John, let's not.
I just
You're gonna get the
noticed that their
cheerleaders around.
school colors. I just noticed that their school
Cheerleaders had
colors
to
were
dance
close to
too, John.
mine.
But we
Yeah.
had, in our high school, we had both. We had like cheerleaders, and then we had like the dance line group.
Oh,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't.
We did too, but the cheerleaders still also danced.
Yeah, the cheerleaders have to dance.
I just
Oh, I
noticed
feel like
that
in ours they were just acrobats.
I'm happy the school colors are like my high school colors, scarlet and gold. There you go.
Oh no.
Oh, it's like a carry witch.
Fire witch?
Oh my goodness.
I love how everyone else just kind of stands there and watches.
Well, the person who was on the floor with the actual real legit flames and the person who jumped on them, those were both stunt doubles, because that's fire and those are specialists who do that kind of stuff. You could totally tell. Except at the beginning, I think that was VFX. But I don't think that was the witch, that girl whose arms went on fire. I think the witch is somewhere there in the auditorium, and they were sabotaging her so that she wouldn't end up winning the cheerleading competition.
No, it's an audition. It's a tryout.
I really don't know what the heck was going on there.
I love it. Audition.
I already love this episode more than the other two, just this far in.
Yeah, I know it. The first two definitely felt like, let's put together a pilot for the network, and
Living on the Hellmouth.
That was the name of the first episode. Welcome to Hellmouth.
No, I know. I just like the way that I just like his
Oh.
expression, living on the Hellmouth.
Oh,
Like, you know,
okay,
just
I'm
like the
sorry.
idea that, like, you know, we're
I'm
we're
sorry.
living.
I thought I was. I'm sorry for stating something obvious then. Hey, but at least I'm picking up those little nuances.
Have you seen this, Nancy?
No, that's why I'm like impressed that I remembered that.
This won't spoil the show, but they refer to the Hellmouth a lot.
Her mom does what again?
She's a
Takes care of an
curator.
art gallery, which makes me wonder why it's at her home.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is the first time I've ever seen any character in television like doing these with these crates in their house.
Maybe
I
that's
mean,
still
it's
setting it up.
Sunnydale, so
I will say that mom working at a museum is just set up for some cursed object that is going to be making its way onto the series at some point. Yeah, everybody,
Make note, Mary.
every Buffy person here in the room definitely was like, you got that right. Because there's just no way it's wrong. There's just no way that it's wrong.
Can I truthfully say I literally went, I don't know if he's got that right or wrong. I can't remember.
I was just having you add that to the prediction list.
Did
wrote
you
it down.
notice that she just like opened the crate like with one hand when her mom was like working on it for a while?
Oh, that's
And
funny.
her mom didn't notice is the funny thing.
Yeah, she just flipped it open like like she just flipped it over.
It doesn't seem to me like her mother notices her that much anyway.
Only when she's in trouble.
The two horns on that little statue to the right of her look like perfect vampire steaks.
You just cracked me up, John.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun with this series. I already feel.
I'm so glad.
Good idea.
I have a feeling I know who the witch is.
Oh my gosh. Definitely the witch. Is it technically spoiling if I make a prediction that is just knocking it right out of the park? That's the witch.
I think it's her mom. Because
I
back in the 90s, we
Ooh.
had that mom and cheerleader thing where their mom was trying to go after the girl.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. Okay.
What
I'll
if
give
her
you that.
mom
If it ends up
switches
being the mom,
Buffy's?
I just have this feeling she's the witch, but maybe she doesn't know it, and she just wants it so badly that it's causing her to subconsciously sabotage other people.
Interesting.
I like that. Interesting.
Such a creepy locker room.
Yeah, I never remember my locker room being so dimly lit when I was in junior high.
I feel like this looks a lot like our locker rooms in junior high, high school.
It looks
Yeah,
like it,
mine
but the
too.
lighting creeps me out.
Our locker rooms at the football stadium were really dim like this because they were underground. But in our gym, they were bright and white.
So I guess like the misdirect here is that Cordelia, is that her name?
Yes.
That is Cordelia with the nice hair.
Yeah. The misdirect is that Cordelia is the witch. That's the witch or her mom.
Maybe it's the guy in that plaid blazer.
You never know. This could be a Harry Potter crossover.
Does Willow have a crush on Xander?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Just now picking up on that.
Don't you remember
Like
they
all the
dated when they were like
predictions of
5?
witches, and you don't see you don't see that.
I saw that she didn't like that he called her a guy, but
Yeah, the last
Wasn't
two
it?
episodes, it was very much alluded.
What I would like to know is Willow holding a squeeze it?
Was she? Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
She was, and I noticed it, and it was like total 90s.
Right.
Ooh, Tiffany, I think you might be right.
I think so too.
Was Tiffany when it said it's the mother?
Maybe the mother also was not a very good cheerleader, but she like witchcraft herself to be a good one.
Oh, she's going after Cordelia.
Kendra's favorite kind of wit.
Yeah, I kind of like her right now.
Kendra.
Well, the potion's always green.
Just totally cool with like boiling Cordelia.
Hands being caught on fire. It's fine.
Doing the evil stuff. Kendra's all about the
Kendra's like, it's all good. It's all fair.
Nobody's died yet.
All
Okay.
fair in love and witchcraft.
It's not their fault they don't know how to do this.
I've never heard that phrase, not really my tip.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, that was definitely the 90s.
That was a 90s thing, yeah.
Not really my piece of cake, not really, you know.
Not really my
Man,
jam.
nothing like 90s writing to have a character just loudly say something to themselves when another character leaves the screen. I had the same little quirk about that Maisel episode, the end of that Maisel episode. But in the 90s, they really like said a lot to themselves loudly. Had the first American Pie come out yet?
No, that was in
Oh,
season
no.
3.
Yeah.
I love that she doesn't give care in the world for that guy.
They have so much free time at this school. That would never happen now.
We used to get like 10 to 15 minutes between classes.
Yeah, us too, but like now it's like 4. That's it.
Do they still have driver's ed like this in schools?
Yeah, my daughter said it.
Not here.
I think she's gonna drive into a lake or something.
Yeah, they have driver's ed here like that, but it's after school.
We have to pay for driver's ed, and it is very expensive, and you have to have it as a teen. It's required to get your license.
Ours was for her at school. It was $30 for the semester, and that was it.
Yeah, it's 600 here now, but it used to be for free.
Yeah, it's 600 here.
We had a driver's ed course in our school, and right there in our parking lot, exactly like that.
We did too. I couldn't take it because of my schedule, and my parents were ticked.
I don't know why he didn't just brake while he was in the car with her, since
Right?
there's brakes there as well.
Why did
Yeah,
he
dual
listen to her?
pedals, right?
Why didn't he listen to her when she said she didn't think she should drive?
Mm-hmm.
And he just stood there and he was gonna let her get hit.
Okay, if I was a witch, I wouldn't physically hurt or kill anybody. I just, like Cordelia, she's popular. Everybody, you know, she's the popular
say
girl.
it. You
I'd
would
make a
say it.
fool out of her.
You would just permanently maim them.
I mean, maybe a tiny bit. I just like torture them. That would be fun. It would be fun to see Cordelia do something that she can never live down.
Oh, John, I think they agree with you. They're narrowing it down.
Well, now I'm 100% in Tiffany's court. It is definitely the mom.
That's when I know. Wig.
Have we met her mom yet?
We just saw the picture of her in the case.
A witch test?
Next time someone meets Kendra, make sure you write this down and do this.
There are witch tests. Like, there are. And I mean, in the days of Salem, they were a little bit different, but yeah.
So you're just gonna go around tossing people, like tying them up and toss them into water and see if they float? Is that what you're?
Yeah, and like they used to check women for birthmarks. If you had a certain kind of birthmark, you were just automatically a witch.
Oh, she's too nice to be the witch.
That's what I think. But then you wouldn't suspect her because she's so nice.
No,
She
I
could be-
think that they're making her too nice so that you suspect her. Like, oh, she's so nice, it has to be her, Like we're being misdirected twice. It's like a double misdirect.
Double cross.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and like she had left school and lost weight, so she had like a big change, and now she's back.
Wouldn't a good witch, though, know that the people in her midst were trying to figure out if she was a witch?
Yeah, it's definitely not her. She's not the.
Oh, wait, but wasn't that just blue?
Am I ahead of everybody? Because
A little bit,
Okay.
I think you are.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
my. Whoever the witch is, she is powerful.
Settle down there, Kendra.
It's like the scene in The Matrix. It's so creepy.
All right, I'm gonna have some questions about that afterward.
Uh-huh.
They're going to talk to the mother.
Look at that gate. I mean, come on.
It is Sunnydale. There's a lot of creepy things in Sunnydale.
Oh, hell.
Oh.
Oh wow. It is the witch.
I feel like it's a Freaky Friday thing.
Oh, Freaky Friday.
How did that go, John?
Now I'm confused. Okay, the mother is the witch, but she's in the body of the daughter. So technically, both Tiffany and I are right.
I don't know. I believe the daughter became a witch because she was so persecuted by the mom as a kid.
I mean, the mother couldn't be content just living through her daughter. So she is living as her daughter so she can get her second chance. Because, she blew it right after high school.
So she made her daughter lose weight because she took over her body and then she
Yes.
made her lose weight. Ooh.
Yes.
I don't know. I still think it's the daughter has become that angry with her mother that she's taken on this evil, because that would fall in line with the show too, right? And I truly don't remember what the answer is, but it's a teenage problem that has a supernatural solution.
Whoops, did she just let something
There's something going on with Buffy.
I mean, the Macho Man, I'm just wondering if Sarah Michelle Gellar even really knew that song.
So off beat, G, all of it.
I mean, it just doesn't, it's just an odd song to have a teenager of the 90s sing. It's very much Joss Whedon, his voice coming through the kid.
Probably just had the song stuck in his head that day.
Exactly.
I don't know. They played that at every single Sweet 16 party I ever went to.
She would never be allowed to wear shoes that are different colored from the other girls.
I'm assuming they're going to give her a day to get some new ones since she just got put on the team.
Some coaches are brutal though. They'd be like, "You're an alternate. You should always have them."
Yeah, mine was too.
Is Macho Man a Village People song?
Yeah.
Okay, so they made a comeback in the 90s because I saw them at a festival.
It was
in,
huge.
Minneapolis in 96.
Yeah, they played that song at every party I ever went.
What else has that actress been in since being a witch in this? She looks so familiar.
How I Met Your Mother.
Amy was in How I Met Your Mother.
I love that.
Friend zone.
But also great, because Willow, he called Willow one of the guys early.
Oh yeah.
See, I would do a spell like that. She's not dead. She's not in mortal harm. She's
It
just
destroys her.
a little bit.
Wait, he just said it destroys her immune system.
It wears off, I'm assuming, though. Oh no, they have to reverse it. Damn.
No, he just said that she just wanted everybody else off the team, but Buffy she wants to kill.
Oh, that is brutal. Brutal.
Cut her head off.
What if she like went into her daughter's body to sort of relive her youth, but her daughter's body just doesn't do cheerleading very well, and she's really upset about that? Not her daughter, her mother. She's just said mother so many times. Bingo.
Oh.
She's a switched witch.
MJ, you're
So weird.
MJ totally
And
called
something
that.
else that rhymes.
I like that I was right on this one.
I genuinely forgot.
Great predictions, guy.
A lot of fun.
Those brownies were like the ones that you used to get in the little packages. They were like little Debbie brownies.
Yes.
Right?
Too.
They were life.
I have a pack in that.
Oh
My mom used to buy
yes.
this.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Cream pies.
We have some right now.
She was on Desperate Housewives.
I was gonna say she looks so familiar. That's who she is.
She was in Doogie Howser, Silk Stockings. Apparently had a reoccurring role on Bull. That was in Time Master and Illegal in Blue. But it doesn't say anything about her being on Desperate Housewives.
Are you talking about the mother or
The daughter. Sorry.
Oh, they're talking about the mother from Desperate Housewives. The mother's body.
Okay, what I really enjoy about the Switch, though, is the fact she's using Barbie dolls, because I hate Barbie with a passion, so this is just great.
You were just loving this episode, Kendra.
I am.
Hooked at loss.
Oh, and she has a black cat? Yeah.
It's prerequisite.
Yeah, don't they all need familiars?
As the song goes, the answer's always in a book.
Or they find her Grimwald.
There are no bleachers in this gym. That'll fit like half a team.
She looks so happy.
You feeling for anything particular for dinner? Think we ought to cook that steak before it gets bad?
Carol, I think you're unmuted.
Carol, you gonna make me a steak too?
But we would all love a steak.
How did that
Carol.
happen? I didn't even touch.
It happens to me sometimes too, Carol. Sorry, but we would like steak. Like, Kendra, did you ever expect that Giles could do spells?
No.
The Watcher does more than just watches and research.
Watches, witches.
This actress is amazing, though. She goes from sweet to menacing so quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say the acting's awesome.
She
She's
used
like Darth Vader. Very Jedi.
She's really powerful.
Oh, Kendra, there's the eyes.
Oh hell, where'd she go?
Man, that was
Wherever she
quick.
was going to send her enemy.
Just need a minute.
Poor Giles gets knocked out.
Big season 4 reveal. Her mom was a witch all along.
Buffy's mom? That's who you mean, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my goodness, that's super creepy.
That's where she was going to send her.
Okay, so
One's episode finished.
she was a little too vicious for me. I would never like maim or kill somebody. I would just like kind of torture them a little bit.
Good to know.
But she got what she deserved there.
She
Now she's
did.
always going to be a cheerleader in a little fake bronze statue thing.
And she's going to have to sit there for eternity and watch all of these young kids, you know, living their lives and see all the cheerleaders. And yeah.
I loved this episode.
Yeah,
I just loved it.
It's picked up since the first two episodes, right?
The first two episodes, if I'm being completely honest, the first two episodes I thought were like mediocre at best. It was, you know, it's certainly exciting to meet this new character, but just in terms of the narrative, I just found it to be a little boring and a little goofy at times. This episode was really fun, like really fun. I love
I really love the Scooby-Doo, love the Scooby-Doo aspect of it all, you know, with like this little group of, I'm really excited to see how this like little group of 3 develops. It's great. If it continues with this kind of a vibe, I can definitely see why this show would become so beloved. And I also liked kind of liked the one-off aspect of it, where it's like, okay, beginning, like, you know, we wrapped it all up in one episode. We're still following these characters to a degree, but you know, we got to just tune in for a nice little, you know, little story.
You like the monster of the week aspect of the episode?
I liked it. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. Certainly like way better than X-File monsters of the week. And I think it's because I really like their dynamic. But, you know, look, if there is a, I mean, I'm sure there is like a mythology storyline, and I'm guessing it's probably the Voldemort guy and all of that stuff from the first episode. If there is some like big serialized story that runs throughout, and it's really, really, really good, like it just has me just like on the edge of my seat wondering what's going to happen next, then I may feel differently about the monster of the weeks. I might be kind of like, get out of the way, I really want to get back to my you know, to my story, to my soap. But as of right now, like the first episode, if that's like, you know, the heart of this like the serialized part of Buffy, then as of right now, I prefer this. I prefer like, you know, just the like fun little supernatural story with our Scooby-Doo characters like trying to solve a mystery and by the end solving it.
The couch is open for anyone, just to let you all know that are down there on the beanbags. If you'd like to come up, please feel free.
So John, the narrator, the beginning, is the
that narrator, like what
correctly,
in the world
it's
is
the
that?
WB.
I mean, it really, like if you told me that was Joss Whedon putting on like a weird voice, I would completely buy it.
It's not.
Doesn't even sound like
not.
a real person. Doesn't even really sound like a real person, you know. It's like it really sounds like, yeah, once in a lifetime, yeah, you know, like it sounds kind of a little bit like those old like monster truckathon commercials. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Sunday.
It's
Oh
actually
yes.
the WB narrator at the time that he used to narrate the little trailers that they'd put out for the show, and that was one of the the WB promo guy. That's him, and that was one of the promos they put out before the show started. And they just tacked it on.
Imagine if you met somebody. I mean, just for a second, imagine if you met somebody in real life that was just their natural voice. Hi, how are you? I mean,
It's very possible he did the trucking stuff too. I mean, it's not Joss Whedon. No, it's if I remember correctly, it's the guy who did a bunch of the promos for the WB shows back in the day. And he probably did different voices for all of them.
It's just funny, you know, in hindsight, you know, like it's just crazy that was like, oh yeah, we gotta get that guy, or we've got to get that type of a person. You know, we need a narration to sound like that, you know.
It could have possibly just been, we want someone to read it. Hey, this guy reads everything. Okay, he can read it too.
It probably was, but it's just crazy that like, yeah, this guy reads everything, and the reason why is because at some point in the 80s and 90s they decided that like that type of that the voice that guy's doing, that's the voice of narration.
That was how they did the commercials though. Like, so the WB would do these like little commercials in between, you know, the day of the week it was on, that would like be like a little mini kind of trailer commercial for the next episode of Buffy. And that guy would do the voiceover for the commercial. So that was like,
it's like
WB did. That's what they did for Buffy.
it's like the Gen X, well, Gen X. I mean, at that time it would have been Gen X, you know, or maybe Gen Y, version of the guy who does the movie trailers, the In a World, where it was like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know, it was like kind of like the edgier rock and roll version of the In a World where, which I mean, I actually doubt people, you know, anybody like anyone younger than 25, I'm wondering if they even know what In a World even is. You know, like
Regina?
Regina, do you know what In a World where?
I love
It's a
how
real thing,
I'm the
Regina.
go-to person to ask.
Yeah, Regina, are you familiar with In a World where? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Do you know?
I've seen it parodied a lot of times, so I understand that it was something very big, but I can't, for the life of me, tell you if I actually ever saw a trailer like that opened up with In a World, you know?
Right. I mean, it was the way to do all trailers in the 80s and, you know, portions of the 90s. I would say, you know, a large share of the 90s, but definitely a large part of the 80s was In a World where, I don't know, and then just fill in the blank.
Well, they made fun of it a
demons
little bit.
exist.
Yeah, they made fun of that a little bit in the movie The Holiday. If anybody watched it during the holiday, like, because Cameron Diaz's character like does trailers, and so, you know, towards the end of the movie, they have like the voice, like that guy, like narrate her life as it's happening. But like that's what the joke was that, you know, it was narrating like the very popular, like that exact guy who did all those voiceovers. Which like there was a movie about him too. Remember, like there was a documentary about him.
There is a documentary about that,
and it's called In a World. That's what it's called.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
amazing. We should watch.
It's called In a World. I forget where it's streaming, but it's definitely somewhere.
And there was, I want to say there's also a documentary of the movie phone guy. Regina, do you know what movie? Do you know what the movie phone guy is?
I
don't. Oh my god.
There's an entire episode.
I don't know what the movie phone guy is.
Oh my gosh, there's an entire episode of Seinfeld you won't get.
It makes you feel better, John. I know what the
back
movie
in the
phone
90s,
guy is.
this was in the 90s, really. I mean, it was already in the 90s. I don't think that it was an 80s thing. It was the 90s. There was a service called Movie Phone, and it was where you would it was like in this weird space in between the 80s of, you know, the only way you could get movie tickets was stand in line at the actual movie theater, and Fandango and all of the ways that we get movie tickets today. There was this weird little period in the 90s where there was this service called Movie Phone, and you called up and you ordered on the phone, and there was a voice, a guy who did the movie phone voice, and it was just very distinctive. It was like, welcome to Movie Phone, and it was just so like iconic.
You do that
throughout
so well.
the 90s. And I think there's a documentary on that guy. I think that guy ended up like he's like I want to say he's like billionaire now. Like he went on to like do some like pretty incredible, I don't know, I don't, billionaires might be a little bit hyperbole, but he went on to do like some really interesting things. And like outside of that, like I want to say maybe like a producer, or like, you know, started some like big companies or something like that. But yeah, in terms of going back to this narrator here, I feel like that somebody at some point during the late 90s, when maybe WB was trying to figure out like, you know, who was going to do the narrations for the thing, they just basically said like, what if we could find somebody who can do the movie, do the In a World, but do it like just a little more rock and roll.
It's like the MTV version of that guy.
Yes, it's the like. Can we find the MTV version of In a World? And that one of those guys came in and did that, and some like 60-year-old studio executive, network executives like, oh my gosh, that's it right there. I mean, that's so rock and roll.
Also, like, I don't know if everybody else remembers this, but
I was just gonna say,
like,
oh, sorry, there.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my sound was cutting out. I didn't realize you were talking. I'm sorry.
Mine's cutting out too.
I was gonna say there's a movie, and I think it was like, I don't know, 5 to 8 years ago, called In a World. That's an actual comedy about a vocal coach. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I'm pretty sure Lake Bell is in it. So is that the different? Were you thinking of that, Diana, or is there an actual documentary?
No, there's a documentary, and it's called In a World. It's about that guy because he died, and I think I feel like maybe one of his kids did it.
Because there's also a comedy movie called In a World as well.
Oh, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but there is a documentary about him, for sure.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's and maybe that's why they made the movie based on the documentary, for all we know. But anyway, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize you were talking first. Like,
oh no, mine was cutting out too, and like I was getting a weird connection. But I was just gonna say, I have this distinct memory of the WB at this time because it was so new. Like, it was such a new network for like prime time TV for us, and like it was so marketed to us. Us meaning anybody who was like a teenager or a young adult, like who would be interested in a show like Buffy. Like, it was just the first of its kind. And so there was something kind of unpolished about it. Like, it just sort of felt a little like they were scrapping things together. And then like a couple years later, when we got Gilmore Girls, like after like Dawson's had been on for a while, like things started to really feel a little bit more polished. And I feel like I witnessed that transformation. So every time I see these like little intros, I'm like, oh my God, that's what the WB was. Like, that's how it felt. It was so like wacky, kind of like we're not really sure what's gonna work, little scrappy. I mean, the show itself is so good, but everything around it, like all the ads and all the way that they promoted stuff, just always felt like a little bit off, like a little like, okay, like what's going on here? Like, very new network vibes. Like, it just never really, like, it didn't really feel polished until until they had like this hit series followed by another hit series followed by another hit series. Like, it just sort of like at the beginning, that's what it was. It was like, well, to the hell now. Like, it was crazy.
I mean, really,
it
feels so cheap, but in such a fun way. I love that. I love the term scrappy, because it really does feel like these first few episodes, especially this one, because I really loved it so much, and yet it was, there was so much about it that just felt like, oh my gosh, this is the WB, like there's no question. This is like the dawn of the WB. And I just love that. It's this first season is scrappy, and I really like that about it. And if more, like I said, if there are more episodes this season, I know that this season is not really considered like the seasons that really made the show, but if this season has enough episodes like this that are just charming and fun and just like, I mean, just like I said, Scooby-Doo in their structure, where it's like they're trying to figure out who the villain is, and they're like buddies, and there's jokes and whatnot. Then I get it. Like, I get why this show is so how they could have gotten even to a season 2, given how like just how low budget so much of it is, and how scrappy it is. I'm really having fun with the Buffy character too. One thing that I really like, and that's also a thing that I kind of like about this particular episode, is it was kind of refreshing in the first 2 episodes, they kind of had to like allude to this like love interest chemistry going on with this mysterious demon style character that comes out of the shadows, you know. But in this episode, like romance, it like could be it's like the furthest thing from Buffy's mind. Like there's zero zilch, no like interest whatsoever. Even though Xander, you got it from Xander, you got it from Willow, you know, towards Xander, you know, all that stuff. But like Buffy is just like straight up, we got a witch here, we need to figure out who it is, we need to get to the bottom of it. Like no time for any of that nonsense. And I just love that.
Well, the thing that she was super duper interested in this week was getting on the cheerleading squad. I mean, how high school is that? You know, like this week it wasn't really about like boys or anything like that, but it was like, I gotta get on the cheerleading squad. Like,
right, yeah.
You know, that's why it's so great, is because, you know, yeah, like Willow's struggling with like being like thought of as one of the guys, and you know, Xander's struggling with the same type of thing, and it was sort of just Buffy's turn to be like, no, I like want to be a cheerleader. Like it just like, seems like they're all going through teenage stuff.
Totally. But I mean, like, what, you know, once they got into the thick of it, you know, once they got into the thick of the narrative, like what's going on here, we need to solve, you know, like, and trying to figure it out, there wasn't anything that there wasn't anything to sort of slow the momentum for her character. Whereas in the last one, I felt like those scenes with Angel, good. I almost thought I spoiled there, but they did say his name. And those scenes there with Angel felt to me a little forced. They felt like they slowed things down. They just felt a little forced. And I'm just glad that there was nothing like that in this episode.
So oh my god, I was just thinking, I wanted to mention, because we were talking about a little bit in the episode, her mother getting the boxes at their house. I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I kind of always thought that her mom moved there to help open up an art gallery or something, to be like the curator of an art gallery. And I think I always looked at that as the boxes were sent to the house because they're still putting that place together.
Yeah,
so maybe she was working at home.
She says
so they had everything shipped at home.
Yeah, she said in the last episode, I think we found a location for the gallery. It was like we're location scouting for the gallery.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that in the episode, but you guys were all kind of talking about Buffy's strength and all that, and got off topic, so I just thought I'd bring it back around real quick and point that out. So people who were kind of confused, why is she getting her stuff at home? That's pretty much why at this point.
And I think that we talked about it a little bit in the pilot, the two first episodes, that you know, they're both new to the town. They had to move here. And I think I mentioned that it was my theory that the people, you know, the powers that be or whatever, over this got her that job there. So it would make sense that they probably didn't have a museum in little Sunnydale.
Yeah, they created something.
Yeah. A job
That's
for her so they could move.
That's a good theory, Hunter. I never really thought about why her mom chose Sunnydale. I'll be honest, I never put that.
That's brilliant. I love that. That's brilliant. There's no question in my mind at all that something at that museum or gallery or whatever, something is going to come in a crate that has some powers, some curse powers or some magical powers or something like that. Like something regarding that place. It's just too convenient for her to be working in a gallery that has sculptures that seem to be kind of worldly, you know, coming from all over the world, you know. I think that there's going to be some sort of a relic of some kind. Well, not a relic, but yeah. Artifact.
Another one for your list, Mary.
To be completely fair, I stopped keeping a list once we finished Gilmore.
I had the list. Don't worry, I wrote it down.
But anybody else who hasn't seen it,
with me on that, or no, like totally off base?
No, I was actually gonna say that I agree with you on that, John. Like when I was seeing her opening those boxes and you were saying something like that, I was like, yeah, I can totally see that happening.
Well, as a new watcher of this, I definitely enjoyed this episode more, but I'm just here for Willow and Xander. I love them.
Do you think that Willow and Xander are going to get together?
Well, I just think Willow at some point will fight, probably like River, maybe a backflip.
Oh, no. I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Now, River came second, you guys. Willow was here first.
I'm just saying, it's because of the order we watched it in.
I think that I'm spoiled on Willow, though. I believe I know some important information about her character.
If you had friends that watched it and they tried to convince you why the show was good, so good, they probably did tell you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I heard the name Willow like crazy, like when friends who really loved it were watching it. And Willow did this, and Willow, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
For those of you that love Willow and that want to keep watching for that character, they do not disappoint. That's all I can really say about it. They do not disappoint.
Yeah, just keep watching.
I'm excited for that. I love Willow. I'm guessing because I have known quite a few Willows, so I'm guessing she was, for certain people anyway, like a popular one.
She is hard not to love, MJ. For real.
I'm so glad because I have loved everything I've seen her in, so she's awesome. I'm super excited about that.
I also will say a very popular Willow for me is Willow from the movie Willow.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
But a very different Willow, but still a great Willow.
I just want more witches.
You will just have to keep coming back to see, Kendra.
I know. I read the synopsis, like on Hulu, you know, when you back out, just gives you a 1-sentence description of the next episode. And it sounds awesomely freaking amazing.
Teacher's Pet?
Yes.
I hope you come back for it.
I can't wait.
I was really hoping you'd come back for episode 4 because I wanted to, I wanted to say, Kendra, I think you'll like the next one too.
I think I'm getting hooked. Like that description for the next episode. I'm just like, I am there for that. I have to watch that one.
It's a certain kind of, like, if you like episodes 3 and 4, if you like these episodes, then you're gonna really like this season. And I just feel it in my gut, in my viscera, that you're gonna love the whole show.
I'm starting to turn. It's happening.
Told you it would.
You guys were so right.
I just hope that we don't get too much more of the goofy vampire makeup this season before they get a little more money. That's the one thing
The
that I
show
think
is called The Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
More of that.
No,
John, there's
to
only
me, I
9
can't.
more episodes in this. There's only 9 more episodes in season 1. So at most, you only have to suffer through 9 more episodes before they get a bigger budget.
9 more vampire stories and you're done.
Yeah, no, 9 more vampire stories and then they get more money.
No,
But,
I'm
I mean,
saying
like, this
your
episode
suffering
wasn't.
is done. Your suffering
Right.
will be done.
Yeah, yes, but I will say this episode didn't have any vampire. It was like, you know, and some of the stuff that they did there was like, I thought was kind of cool. I loved that, like the hands on fire. I kind of like the witch, like, you know, when she was like when like the mouth thing and like the eyes and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was all kind of fun, you know, even though also it looked pretty cheap.
Somebody wanted to talk about the mouth
Mm,
thing. Who wanted
I
to talk
did.
about that? Okay.
I did. All right. So this is sort of a broader question about the show in general. Do we just have to suspend our disbelief in regards to how much weird stuff happens at this school because it's on the Hellmouth, and nobody really totally it doesn't become like, if that happened at a school in real life, and in fact, if that happened on a television show that was written today on HBO or Showtime or Stars or AMC, the next scene would be like national news. Girl in class turns to her students and has no mouth. And yet on this show, it's like that happens, and then we end the episode with everybody like walking down the halls of the high school, kind of chatting about how everything was resolved and everything's cool, and I'm gonna be making brownies with my dad, right?
Well, how do we
so
know?
do we have? So I'm saying, is that just sort of yeah, that's just the style, you got to deal with it, or can we actually logic our way as to why girl would have her mouth like that, and that wouldn't be talked about for years to come at that school? There was a day where a girl in our science class turned and she had no mouth.
I would just hold that thought. Yeah, of course you would have to suspend belief. I mean, this is the era before we had phones, because if that happened now, someone would be recording for sure. But we'll just, for now, it's Sunnydale, so we'll just go with it.
Yeah, Cordelia's phone doesn't have a camera on it yet.
Yeah.
So Hunter's right on that. They have pagers and brick-sized phones and a few phones with antennas that they pull out.
Also, we saw in the last episode that they're really good at rationalizing it, right? Like the attack with the feeder, whatever his name was, with Luke
at the harvest.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, I think they were a rebel gang and it was a different high school. They rationalized things. So this girl who didn't have a mouth, when they undid all of the spells, that went away. So they're probably going to go, oh, she must have had an allergic reaction. There's ways to rationalize.
Right.
To make,
okay.
Yeah, to cope with the strange things that you can't explain.
You can't explain them, so your mind rewrites what happened.
Exactly.
Okay.
Also, don't you think
Yeah,
if you lived in a town like this, John, you would be used to strange things and you might just think it's the norm that weird things happen in town?
Nah, that I don't. I mean, that one's hard for me. Because I mean, it's not just weird things. I mean, these are things that society would deem to be weird. I think I can buy this idea
as well.
I think that I can buy this idea that the mind can't really cope with that, and then therefore says oh no, I thought what I saw was a girl with no mouth, but now that I think back on it, it was actually a girl who had some sort of major allergic reaction, and her lips just puffed up really big, and it looked sealed, but it really wasn't. That I can kind of buy, and we see a lot of that in X-Files. That's kind of the main thing. Scully's always doing that in X-Files because she always has to justify how in the world she actually still doesn't believe after seeing all the crazy stuff that she sees. But they make that a part of the show. And in this show, they didn't make any mention of it, right? They did it in that first episode, but here that was such a big thing. But I guess that's the part where I have to I have to sort of do a little bit of the work for the writers in a way, or the writers are asking me hey, come with us on this.
They're asking you just to go with it, and they said oh, it was gang members or whatever, and they are on a Hellmouth, so they're probably used to all this weird stuff happening, and their mind just automatically rationalizes it for them. But I would just say stick a pin in it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm hoping, I would like to see more of that. I would like to see more like maybe not see it in every episode, but I'd like to see more moments where a character says like kind of rationalizes how they thought something crazy happened, but in fact, like now that I think about it, it actually probably wasn't that, you know?
Well, you have to remember too, like we are so focused on our little group right now that we're just getting their perspective. They aren't actually talking to other people to see how they rationalize anything.
Right.
So
Okay. Well, anyway, I loved it. I thought it was a great episode. I thought it was great. It was fun. It really did remind me, like I said, it really reminded me a lot of Scooby-Doo. Like, and I loved Scooby-Doo growing up. Like that was like one of my cartoons as a kid.
Don't forget
So
Harvest.
How about Giles and his casting?
He did a pretty damn good job for his first cast. I mean, I was highly impressed with him. I have a feeling he's going to be a badass by the end.
wait, what's going to be a really big ass by the
I
end?
got 53 colonels. Giles.
A badass, not a big ass. Giles.
Sorry.
I have a feeling he is going to be like so much more as time goes on.
So
She's
much for a
expecting him to
watcher
become-
watches, right?
Yeah,
He got right into the action today.
Yeah, he casts spells. He does research.
I'm
he
waiting to
watches.
I'm waiting to see what a watcher can do. Like when really backed in a corner, what kind of like fireballs can like a watcher shoot out of his hands? Lightning bolt. Possible?
I was just gonna say what I like about the Watcher Slayer like lore that the show is telling us exists is that it doesn't really account for the people that will be called. You know what I mean? So their individual personalities are gonna come out, which I think is really fun because we see that Buffy is just sort of a teenage girl and like Giles is like maybe a little bit bookish and like but maybe has like deep desires to be like a little bit more cool, you know, like they're definitely like I just love that it's predetermined who's chosen, but those people have individual personalities that you know may or may not get along with one another or you know who knows. So like I think that's like a fun part of it is that like well how did past Slayers and Watchers, you know, get along with each other and who were they and what were they like? You know, like that's like a question that I have at this point because you have like Buffy who's just like so typical teenage girl and you're like, okay, like she's the Slayer, okay, like you know, and it sort of defies your expectation of like what that might look like. So I don't know, I think it's cool to think about.
I will say that it's getting me excited for a what I don't call them flashback episodes. I would call this a period style episode that takes us back to the origin story of Giles.
That's what you're getting excited for? Like you're hoping that they do
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for it.
I want the origin stories of Slayers.
Yeah, I
How
want
did
the
the
origin stories
Slayer
of Slayers, but origin story of Slayer seems obvious, right? Like we're gonna get that, I'm sure of it. And you know, and I think that it's cool, but like I just think that like the origin stories of Watchers is like it's kind of that there's something about that is like a little less obvious. And so to me that's more interesting.
Of Watchers or specifically of
I want to know Giles because I'm developing a relationship to Giles. So I want to know Giles's backstory. But in knowing Giles's backstory, I'll probably learn sort of
how do watchers come to be? Like, how are they chosen? You know, and you know, how do they find their calling, and what are all the things that they do and have to like kind of prepare for, and you know, just like, did we get this in the first episode? How many Slayers has Giles worked with?
I don't think he said, did he?
No, he didn't say.
No,
Right there.
It wasn't mentioned.
I want to know if he's worked with a previous Slayer. I want to know if is it possible that there is some backstory that Giles has with a Slayer that he cared very deeply for that he lost? Is it possible that there's the Slayer before Buffy died, you know, in the war against the vampires, and Giles is carrying that with him? You know, like, these are the things that my mind's going through. Like, I'm certainly curious about Buffy, but she didn't have much of a backstory. She's a girl, you know, like, she's young and she's just getting into this. I certainly want to know about Slayers, but I don't really have any connection to any past Slayers. But I do have a connection to Giles, and I know that Giles has a backstory because he's been doing this for a lot longer. And so I would love to see a period style episode with Giles where we go back and we find out what the like last, you know, 20 years of his life looked like.
Yeah, I want to know, like, is he immortal? Is he, like, how did he become the Watcher? How was he assigned, you know, for this? And is there like an initiation?
Yep.
Well, if you think about it, the Watcher has a ton more responsibility in a way. You know, like, they're not the one on the front line, but like, they are sort of the brains of the operation. So, you know, in the Bette Midler sense, he's like the wind beneath her wings. You know what I mean? Like, he's there to, like, you know, actually make some decisions, and that's heady. That's scary.
It's just, I don't know if Buffy came out, like, if it came out late enough for that to be a pretty common trope in serialized storytelling, where out of nowhere, season 4, season 5, out of nowhere, you get this surprise episode where suddenly you're like, wait a second, we're in like the 70s right now. You know, 70s cars driving by, and then like maybe you get a little chyron on the screen that says 1974, and then you just see a bookish guy walking down the sidewalk, you know, with his, like, you know, with his school books. Maybe some bullies like knock him in the shoulder, and he knocks in his books.
You're
fall on the
hoping for a
ground.
Mythic Quest style backstory.
I'm just saying that is a trope. We see that all the time now in serialized storytelling, you know, where we get a character, and we haven't really been focusing too much because we've been mostly focusing on the main character. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in a certain season, you just get this sudden episode that surprises you with, oh my goodness, we're in another time. And then it's like, oh my goodness, we're learning the backstory of this particular, like, you know, not completely ancillary character, but this, you know, other important character that's been sort of on the sidelines. And I don't know if Buffy came out, if it was too early for that trope to be, you know, really as common. But I feel like if it was done now, they would need to do that at some point. So I'm hoping that maybe Buffy was one of the first shows that, you know, started doing that, like, you know, before it became a very big trend in television, television serialized storytelling, especially genre storytelling. You know, Lost made it a part of their format. You know, like Lost actually took that and just said, why don't we make the entire show about that, where every episode is like, you know, doing that. But just lots of shows do it, you know, and they'll do it for like a whole episode, right? Also, This Is Us turned it into a format, basically, you know. But I want to see it for Giles. I don't know. I can't. I'll just say that now. I hope that they do it.
Is he your favorite character at this point?
No. I would say Buffy's my favorite character. She's definitely she's definitely the most dynamic character and the most exciting to watch. And Sarah Michelle Gellar's performance is just the most fun. But from a mythology standpoint, you know, from like a lore and, you know, and I mean, I'm just into big world storytelling. From that perspective, if the show is going to start doing more and more of that, again, like I love this like one-off Scooby-Doo thing, and if they keep doing this, I could just see it being like a really fun comfort show the way that like Scooby-Doo is. But if the idea is to like, you know, oh, what made this show awesome was when they really hit their stride with their serialized stuff, which I would imagine that's what's going to happen. And if I had to guess, it's going to be attached to what we saw in the first 2 episodes. Then I just want to dive deeper, and I would be more curious to find out about Giles. You know, and you know, to dig deeper into the backstory of Slayers, like, you know, narratively, meaning we see it on screen, I would rather that to be a different series altogether, like 100% different series, like, you know, like Steven the Vampire Slayer, or, you know, or, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like 1975, you know, and it's like the previous, or one of the previous Vampire Slayers, you know. I wouldn't need it to be a part of this show, because this show is about these characters.
Well, we won't give it Steven because it's one girl in every generation.
Is it one girl in every generation?
Yes.
We've heard it 3 times now.
Yes, let's keep this one hero a female.
It says one girl in every generation.
Yeah, John, you're hearing the voice and like it's all of its like, you know, cheekiness, but I don't know if you've heard what he said.
I don't think I've really listened to what he said. I honestly like, well, also every time I press play, I grab my headphones, which are already there, and it's such an abrupt opening, you know, that I almost always lose the first, like, you know, the first few seconds of it, like, and I'm scrambling to put my headphones on, so I actually didn't hear that. But
closed captioning is your friend.
What's that?
Closed captioning, captions.
Oh,
then you don't need your
headphones. I'm not doing that on this episode, on this show, because I don't know why I'm not, but I'm not.
Yeah, like you need to listen to the opening,
so it's every generation a girl is a Slayer.
Yeah, it's only girls.
Oh wow, that's cool. Well, then I want to see, you know, if we're going to dive deeper into the lore of Slayers, then I want to see, you know, I don't know, Angela the Vampire Slayer, like Sophie the Vampire Slayer. Meaning, I don't want them to do it. Sorry, mouthful. Not like that would be any different than normal.
We're used to it.
I'm just saying I don't need to see it in this show. Like I don't need them to go into the past and introduce me to like some random Vampire Slayer that has nothing to do with this one. But Giles is an older character, so you can go into the past and still stay connected to him.
Well, I will be interested to see how you like it as it goes. So, just so you know, if you really do get into the show long term, there is a graphic novel, or it was an 8 comic book series called Prey, which is not Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it is of the universe.
Is it a different Vampire Slayer?
Yeah.
Ooh, Frey the Vampire Slayer.
So Joss Whedon wrote it, and it's Fray. And it's something you might be interested in if you really do get into this. I think you'd enjoy that.
And I would be so into that. I mean, I love expanded universes, obviously. Like I'm so into just worlds in general, narrative worlds in general. So I would be very much into, like, if the like serialized nature of this series really grabs me, then yeah, I would want to see the world expanded, like really expanded. Like I would want to see like a vampire slayer that takes place during like the era of the Salem witch trials, you know, or even further back. I'd want to see like Slayer during the Roman Empire, you know,
Well,
Like,
this one doesn't take place in those. This takes place in the slums of New York City, and it's a Slayer called Molecular Gray.
oh,
So
okay, well then I'm
it is
I'm
a
not
different
into it.
Slayer.
No, I'm kidding. But also,
I
you know what you can also do with what you can also do with the Slayer lore is you can also go into the future. We could do like 100 years into the future, like a total like cyberpunk style vampire slayer. I mean, how rad would that be?
I would love to see that. That'd be very
Right? Like a vampire slayer who's kind of like got like augmented body parts. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that would be cool.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd put that out there. 'Cause
I mean,
you do like the graphic novel.
The theory is that River could have been a future Slayer, so we may have already seen
All right.
the future of Slayers.
You called it, Mary. We're merging the worlds. They're gonna be under the same world card. Thanks, Mary.
I'm okay with that.
No,
Two
are you
ro-
really?
two amazing shows as opposed to a horrible show and a horrible movie. Like I'm whatever. I'm okay with that.
Lee is absolutely not okay with that at all.
Really?
No, Lee is really petitioning hard for the Alien franchise to be melded with Firefly.
Ooh, I'm more down with that one.
No.
I'm just kidding, Lee. I'm just kidding. Lee is not.
Lee, I think we've ended our friendship.
Well, this was a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun, and I'm very excited for tomorrow's episode, especially now hearing that tomorrow's episode may also be kind of in a similar style to this one.
Tomorrow?
Not that I'm not excited for the serialized stuff. I guess I'm just dreading. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm just dreading that makeup.
It's
I'm just really dreading
Just
it.
Lump it with 90s.
You can do it. You can do it.
I'm just really scared of seeing the Masters makeup again.
Just think of it again. This is the origin. Just think of, you're going through history with the evolution of all these shows that, you know, he did and stuff. So just think of it as a history.
Just treat it like I'm in a film class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like many other things that were worn and displayed in the late 90s, you know, sometimes you got to go back to that ugly to really appreciate how far we've come.
I love it, Diana.
Also, I wanted to say this before it just occurred to me, but the name of this episode is Witch, not The Witch or A Witch.
Sorry.
It's like witch. No. I'm just saying, like it's a
no.
double entendre. It's like witch.
On Hulu, they either messed that up or that's not the case, because on Hulu it is The Witch.
Yeah,
say
no, it's
Witch
supposed
on
to
Hulu.
be just Witch.
Yeah.
Then that's a mistake
yeah,
on
because
Hulu,
that
which by the way, I'm glad to hear that that's a mistake, because Witch is 10 times cooler of a name for this episode than The Witch.
And
Yeah, I'm
that's-
looking at the DVDs. It's also just
Yeah.
witch. And it's a double entendre. It's because you're supposed to figure out later that it's like witch, like witch of the women. And you know, one of them's a witch.
Are there any warlocks in this series?
You're just gonna have to watch to find out, John.
I mean, we could tell you,
Are there
but
any
then we'd
are
have
there
to kill you.
are there any homunculi in this series?
Who the what?
I guess not.
Did you not notice on the first episode where he gave her like the books on every horror thing? It was like succubi and this and that, and she's like, "Did you send her away for the time series?" You never know what's gonna come in.
Well, succubi are just a subclass of vampires. Homunculi, on the other hand, are just tiny humans that like witches create and keep in cages.
in the crossover of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Gilmore Girls, Brian definitely would have been the Watcher for sure.
For who?
For who? I mean, Paris is definitely the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
Come
for
on.
sure.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. We have to turn this into a fanfic. We have to turn into a fanfic. Like, well, first, not yet. Hold on, everyone. I don't want you to get ahead of yourselves here. Like, let's pause for a second. We need to first find out a little bit more about the backstory of Watchers, meaning we gotta wait for that episode that I'm hoping is going to come about Giles, so we can learn a little bit about, you know, what is the sort of origin story of Giles, and then let's do it. We got a really fantastic fanfic about the origin story of Brian as a Watcher in Stars Hollow, where there is a Hellmouth right underneath the gazebo.
I was gonna say under Luke Steiner, but
No, under the gazebo. It's under the
I
gazebo.
was gonna guess
Yeah.
Rosie's Market.
I mean, I
Oh
feel
my
like
God,
Pence and Teak is the go-to.
Oh my goodness, we have to do that. We have to do that as a poll. We have to ask the Gilmore community where the Hellmouth is in Stars Hollow.
I mean, actually, I think I would vote for Miss Patty.
I feel like the entrance should be the gazebo though.
Well, wait a second. Lee has a pretty good theory that it is Dosie's Market because she says that Taylor is most likely a vampire.
Oh, he's a succubi for sure.
So he's just getting like
I
a
just
bidet
realized I'm
of
on the
evil.
couch. Why am I not just speaking?
Yeah, I
didn't
wonder-
realize you
I
were there
wonder
on the
that.
couch.
I completely forgotten. But yeah, I just said to John that Taylor doesn't drink blood, he just sucks souls. And I think that's his lore of vampirism.
He's an
I think
energy.
I see
vampire.
Taylor as probably making like blood ice cream. Or
Oh,
blood,
yeah,
blood,
that's
blood,
correct.
This escalated quickly.
Why is no one
There's
talking
ice
about
cream
Al
shop.
though? Al's menu constantly changes.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But Taylor has that sugary, sweet yet demanding, obnoxious personality. Like sometimes he's really nice to people, and other times he's just he fits.
We
that
don't know
evil
how
really
Al
well.
is.
What about Kirk?
We don't know anything about Al.
What about Kirk?
He did get better looking in the revival. That's something we all noted. So did he turn between the original series and the revival?
Is
Because
that
that's a vampire thing. You get more attractive,
and is
right?
that why he has so much energy for all those jobs? Because he's just got a lot going on.
Because he
Wait.
doesn't sleep.
Lee, I don't know about all vampires, disease and Buffy.
That's
No.
very
No, no,
true.
no.
I shouldn't mix my vampire lore.
I think that the Hellmouth is under the gazebo.
I'm sticking
would
with
make sense.
Josie's.
I'm gonna head out. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Anna, Mary, and everyone for watching.